Welcome to Let's Talk About Life, a podcast brought to you by LifeBank, the organ, eye, and tissue recovery agency in Northeast Ohio. Donation can be a complicated subject, but it is really all about life. So spend a few minutes as we unravel the complexities of donation. So come on, let's talk about life.
You may not know by looking at me, but I'm a bit of a gearhead. I love cars, especially fast ones. For many years at my house on Sundays, the NASCAR race was on the TV, and I was cheering on my favorite driver, the 24, Jeff Gordon. Of course, my husband liked his arch rival, the number 3, Dale Earnhardt. We had the fan gear, memorabilia, and season tickets to not one, but 2 race courses on the circuit. Racing was a big part of my life for many years, and we still tune in to watch the Xfinity or Cup race on the weekends, and so enjoy them. So you can imagine my delight when my 2 worlds came together, when I saw a Donate Life logo and the familiar blue and green speeding around a race course a few years ago. Hi, you're listening to episode 101 of Let's Talk About Life. I'm your host, Colleen Gerber, kidney recipient and LifeBank staff member. And I am so excited about today's episode, but I want to pause for a second to remind you, with the beautiful weather of summer, LifeBank is going to hold our annual fundraising events in person. We are back at Blossom for the Gift of Life Walk and Run on Sunday, August 7th. And we will be once again holding our Daredevil event Over the Edge on September 2nd. These events help LifeBank educate the community about the vital need for organ, eye, and tissue donors, and support those donor families whose loved one was a donor hero. If you're interested, check out these events on lifebank.org/get-involved. Now for today's very special guest. I'm a little bit starstruck because our guest is Joey Gase, who is a race car driver and car owner of Emmerling Gase Motorsports. You'll need to indulge me a little bit as I take advantage of this opportunity to talk about racing. Joey, thank you so much for talking with me, and I'd love to start by hearing your background and how you got into racing.
Thank you so much for having me on, and racing's been something that's been a part of my life ever since I can remember pretty much. My dad raced at our local short track in Cedar Rapids, Iowa at Hawkeye Downs Speedway before I was ever born, and I grew up in it, and ever since I can remember, I loved racing. I love going to the racetrack and watching my dad race. I love watching NASCAR, and I love going to the garage with my dad and him and my uncle, my grandpa, working on us at night, and it was always just something I loved. And when I was turned 4, I got my first yard cart, and I turned thousands of laps in the driveway, and then when I turned 8 years old, they got me my first racing go-kart, and I raced that from when I was 8 years old to 13, and then when I was 14, I actually started the race my dad's old modified, which is a full-size race car, and then late models when I was 15 and 16, and I was the youngest ever to win the track championship in a late model at our home track at 16, and everything kind of took off from there. And I've been in the Xfinity Series since I was 18, and I made my first start in the Cup Series in 2014.
Well, how amazing. I mean, just speaking as a race fan, it must be so fun to be able to pursue your love and your passion. And now, not only are you a driver, but you're a race car team owner. How is that?
It's another experience for sure, and it's something that I've enjoyed so far. Obviously, I've always been very hands-on driver with handling my own sponsors, and been on a lot of smaller teams most of my career, and had to be hands-on, working more on the car than most drivers, and helping out in the shop and at the racetrack and things like that. But obviously now being a owner, there's even more things to take on and handle. But so far, I've really enjoyed it. It's a lot of work and more stress involved, but it's something I enjoyed and feel like we've done a decent job at so far this year, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Well, that's great. And you have is it the Kitty Cat coin car?
Yep. We have different primary sponsors throughout the year, and we still have many different OPOs and Donate Life partners team up with us throughout the year. But we will have the Kitty Cat coin car here at our next race in Talladega, and we'll actually be taking 2 cars there. And both cars will be sponsored by Kitty Cat Coin, and luckily we will have Donate Life Alabama on the car as well as an associate, which is always really cool as well.
Yeah, that's great. And I have to admit, I was thrilled when I saw the Donate Life logo racing around that track, as I mentioned. But sadly, you have a very personal connection to Donate Life. Can you explain that?
Unfortunately, in April of 2011, we lost my mom to a sudden brain aneurysm. And it was something very unexpected. And I was 18. My sister was in middle school, and my mom was 44. And she was a perfectly healthy person, we thought. She worked out all the time. She ate right all the time, did everything possible to live life basically as healthy as possible. But unfortunately, she had a sudden brain aneurysm, which is something that's really hard to prevent and really hard to predict. And even though you're having one when you have it, but when that happened, the doctors told us unfortunately it was too big and she was brain dead, and asked us if she'd like to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor. And at that time, it was something we never really thought about before or talked about before, but we knew she could no longer continue her life. She would want to do whatever she could to help others continue theirs. So we said yes. And later we went home and found her driver's license and saw that she was a registered organ donor. So knowing that we made the right decision for her, meant the world to us. And later we also found out she was able to help and save and improve the lives of 56 people, which was amazing. We thought it could only be 2 or 3. We had no idea how big an impact one person can make by being an organ, eye, and tissue donor. And, ever since that day, we wanted to do whatever we could to help raise awareness for donation and honor all those affected by it. And we don't want people only to register to be organ donors. We also want them to have that talk with their loved ones. So if they're ever in the same situation my family and I were in, they would already know what their loved one would have wanted.
That's super important, and we try to promote that too. It's great that you make that donation decision, but sharing it with your loved ones and your family is key. Your mom, as you mentioned, was able to save a lot of lives and help others. Did that help you in any way with your loss? I mean, such a tremendous loss, especially at a young age. Did that help at all?
Knowing that she was able to help so many people and that she was able still to live on through people, I wouldn't say made it easier, but knowing that she was able to help that many people and that she'd be happy to know that, definitely put a smile on your face a little bit. And we've been fortunate enough to actually meet 2 of my mom's recipients, and that definitely put everything in full perspective. A lot of people only think about the one person they're helping. They don't think of, the ripple effect. And, when I was able to meet Jordan and Maggie and their friends and their family, it really put everything into perspective to see, how great people they were and how thankful they were, but not only how thankful they were, but their entire family and friends. So you're not really only helping that one person, you're helping hundreds or thousands of other people that they affect through their lives as well, now that they're able to continue their life. So it's really amazing how big an impact organ donation makes.
I'm always blown away. You're right. It's a ripple effect, and it does touch the lives of family and friends. How did you connect those two worlds, your racing career with the Donate Life? How did you begin to work with Donate Life?
It was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to raise awareness and honor those affected by it. And we were, looking for sponsors when we first started in the community, which was then nationwide. So I reached out to a contact that I knew at our local hospital there in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and told them what I wanted to do. And they said they wouldn't be able to help us directly, but they could put me in contact with Iowa Donor Network, which was the OPO for the state of Iowa and the OPO that my mom was a organ donor through. So she gave me their contact, and I reached out to them, and they remembered me and remembered my mom's story, and they wanted to help. So it all started there, and we teamed up together there with Iowa Donor Network. And I'm sure, as you know, there's 58 different OPOs across the U.S., and slowly but surely we started to work with many of the different OPOs across the U.S., and Iowa Donor Network helped us make that connection with the different OPOs, and it's all taken off from there. And it's really cool to see how many different OPOs we are able to work with, and how long of a relationship I've been able to have with many of these OPOs.
Well, I have to say I'm a little jealous because Life Bank in the Cleveland area, we don't have a racetrack close, but it is so heartwarming to see my sister organizations, One Legacy, Virginia Donor Network, Nevada, all these places that I work with, over the years, seeing that on a side of the race car. One other thing that I loved on your race car, besides the Donate Life logo, is the handprints. Can you explain what that tradition is?
Yeah, it was something we started with Donate Life Texas, I think in 2016, maybe 2015, and they had this idea of actually letting people place handprints on our car and writing a message of hope. And it was something that was unique and kind of hard to make happen, but we were able to do it. And it's something that people loved and that we've been able to do pretty much ever since. It's something that's really cool. It's the people that are participating in it and that are connected to organ donation, in a strong way. If they're a recipient, if their loved one was an organ donor, or if they're on the wait list, it can be really emotional for them and healing to do it. And it's really cool to see that take place. And then on the flip side, it raises a ton of awareness for donation. When the media and the public see those handprints on the race car, they want to know why those are on there. They come up to us, if it's a fan in the garage, and they ask us, why is that on there? And we get to tell them why. And when the media see it, they interview us normally, and we get to tell them why those are on there and raise awareness for donation. And, the same thing happens when we have a picture of the honoree on the car as well. So it's really cool how it works full circle.
The one thing about both the Cup races and the Xfinity races, and maybe people aren't aware, there are a lot of people. I know before COVID, it wasn't unusual to have over 100,000 people in the stands watching the race and getting that message across. I mean, oh my gosh, that's a huge billboard and a huge help for us. We appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. And the cool thing is NASCAR has kind of bounced back the most out of any sports after COVID. So a lot of our races are sold out again with full capacity. So it's really cool to see that, and hopefully continue on the trend. And the other thing we do now with the handprints too, because of COVID, we wanted to be able to continue to do it when we were back racing, but COVID was still really going on. So we do it virtually now and in person. So if you're someone that maybe doesn't feel, comfortable being able to go to the event or just can't make it, the weeks that we do it virtually as well. So you can submit your handprint of hope online, and then we that specific handprint just for you and put that on the car as well.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So I am a little bit older. I'm a mature NASCAR fan. And back in March of last year, I think, you ran the 28 car in honor of the legendary driver, Davey Allison. And for those who don't know, Davey really and his brother, they were big into really the beginning of NASCAR before it was super popular. He was just a legend in the sport. Also on that car, you honored all organ donors. and included the Register Me website, which is the National Donor Registry. How did that come about? And what an honor. That was so cool, Joe.
Yeah, it was really cool. Actually, LOPA, the OPO in Louisiana, actually came up with the idea. They're big race fans there as well, and they actually saw a documentary that was done on Davey Allison and his life and how he was an organ donor. I mean, a lot of people did not know that, and that was, it's rare to be an organ donor now, but it was even more rare to be an organ donor back in '93. So they had the idea of honoring Davey Allison when we raced in Talladega and trying to have the 28 number. So we actually teamed up with LOPA, and we teamed up with Donate Life Alabama, and we teamed up with Mora. So it was really cool to have 3 different OPOs teaming up together and for this one race, and it was a really big deal. We were able to do the car in both the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series, and the thing that was really, really cool and really, really special was that NASCAR and Liz Allison actually gave us permission to use the 28 number. So the 28 number in the Cup Series was actually is a retired number, so no one's ever going to be able to use it again. There was a lot of rules that had to be bent for that to be able to happen. Obviously, to retire the number, and then normally you're not able to change to a number and then change back to a number again throughout the season. So NASCAR and Liz made that happen, which was really cool and made it just that much more special. There's still to this day so many diehard Davey Allison fans, and so many things went together for it. He was 28. He passed away 28 years ago. I was 28 years old at the time. And, he was from Alabama. He passed away, unfortunately, at Talladega in a helicopter crash. And we were racing at Talladega. So it was something that was really cool. And we were able to raise a bunch of awareness for organ donation. And we got a lot of people registered.
No, what a tribute. Just what a tribute. I love that story. And that was something I specifically wanted to ask you about. How cool. What does it mean to you to be able to combine your passion and then honor not only your mom, but all organ donors and recipients while you're doing something you love?
It means a ton, to be able to do this and, to tie it all together and do something that, like I said, I love. And, it's something that I always love having sponsors. We need sponsors in order to be able to race, or we can't race, unfortunately. It's a very, very expensive sport, but to be able to have a sponsor that I truly care about and something that I'd be promoting, no matter what, means the world and makes it that much easier and makes me do that much better of a job promoting donation as well.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for sharing your story and sharing a little bit about my love of racing. And I'm going to start working on our marketing group to see if we can get a sponsorship. I would love to see Life Bank on the side of a race car.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And, even though like you said, we don't race directly in your area, we're not too far away from you at other tracks. And we, like I said, when we race down in Talladega, we team up with Mora and LOPA at times, and LOPA sometimes does Talladega, and then LOPA sometimes does Texas because they're in the middle of the two. And then Donate Life Colorado, they teamed up with us in Nashville last year, and then like Iowa Donor Network, they now team up with us in Kansas. So it's not super rare for an OPO to come outside their area a little bit, and we still do like car appearances, in your area at a hospital or high school or wherever it might be, to also make sure you get the local media coverage as well.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be fun.
Well, but thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, Joey, we appreciate it. And thank you for sharing your story and being so dedicated to something that's affected thousands of people. And good luck this year. We hope you found today's episode informative and inspirational. You know, you can save lives simply by going to lifebanc.org and registering your donation decision. You can catch Let's Talk About Life on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, but you can always find it at lifebanc.org. We thank you for listening, and we hope you come back next time. And come on, let's talk about life.
Thank you for listening to Let's Talk About Life. If you have questions about today's podcast, reach out to us at info@lifebanc.org. Take a few minutes to do something heroic and register to be an organ donor by saying yes at lifebanc.org. Literally, someone's life is dependent on it.